Breakfast for this year. Instead of being a helper, I have to get up here and talk to things. So thank you for all coming out. The very special guests that we really have here today are all of the men in the room that have come to support the girls and the girls themselves. Thanks for letting us be a part of your life all the way through this school stuff. Even dads that are different parts of the school really appreciate the way you look after the young girls in the junior school. So thank you for coming and for not thinking it's too dang and being afraid to come out and see us. Today, we have a very special guest. Ms. Shannon Wilkie, who's currently the chief reporter at the Gold Coast Bulletin, has a long background in media, used to be the business writer for the Gold Coast Bulletin as well. And she's also the president of the Young Professionals Club, which is a great angle that I thought that the young ladies in the room should see, because we do have an active and growing professional base in the city, and Shannon's desperately working in her sideline to ensure that continues on, to allow you that graduate from here and university to enter a Gold Coast business sector that's growing. So without further ado, I'll introduce Shannon and let her have a chat. Thank you.
So the Gold Coast Bulletin is the city's only daily paper. On top of that, I'm a mother of a 2-year-old daughter, Lydia, and I'm the president of the Young Professionals Gold Coast, which is I guess a networking group which, as Darren mentioned, tries to establish a corporate culture for young professionals living and working and playing on the coast. Journalism. I'll just give you a bit of a background into my career and where it's taken me a little bit, and then I'll talk more about where the opportunities lie for you girls. It's a career where every day is different. You meet different people, go to different places, and see different things. You learn something new pretty well every day. The night before my 21st birthday was spent partying with Paris Hilton. We were singing in a nightclub together. We sang MC Hammer and I didn't know the words. I've had dinner with Cameron Diaz and Larry from U2. I've met former Prime Minister Bob Hawke. I've been on the sets of Big Brother and other film sets. And the editor tried to marry me off with Prince Harry when he was in Australia once. I've been to B&S balls out in the country. I've been down to Canberra for the federal budget, Brisbane for the state budget. I've had lunch with Gordon Ramsay, and I've met many prime ministers, ministers, and premiers. Last year, I had the privilege of going overseas 3 times for my job. I went to Singapore when Scoot Airlines announced that they were flying direct from the Gold Coast to Singapore. I went on the first flight there, which was fun. I travelled to the US with the city mayor, Tom Tate, where we went to Las Vegas and Miami for 2 weeks on a study tour. And then I went to China and Taiwan later on that year for a trade mission where we got to learn about what investment opportunities there are over there for here. That travel sort of led to a personal thirst for travel. Since I've been a journalist, I've been to more than 23 countries for over a year in total. It's been a blessed career, and I've done it all from the Gold Coast. I earned my stripes when I got a cadetship scholarship to Bond University in 2000 when I graduated from high school. I spent 4 years studying at Bond and every second semester working at the paper. The scholarship meant I had to keep up a 75% grade average, which I did. Obviously I would have lost it. And then graduate. And during my time at the paper, I covered everything from property, social columns, lifestyle, and finished, and police, chasing ambulances, covering bikie wars and shootings and that sort of thing. But I got a bit sick of that after a while, so I asked my editor to go and cover business, and it was just before the global financial crisis, and I had no idea what business was all about. I just thought it would be long lunch with rich business people. However, the global financial crisis hit, and it was 12-hour days covering every property collapse and disaster on the city, and there was a few, as I'm sure many of the dads in the room would know. Since then, when I was in business, I had my daughter and took 18 months off on maternity leave. And while I was on maternity leave, I got a call from my editor at the time. He said, "We're looking for a chief reporter. Do you want to come back?" And I said, oh, I'm not coming back until mid next year. I wasn't actually going to come back at all. I was thinking my career in journalism was over, but I couldn't miss the opportunities to take up being a chief reporter. And I guess that role is the most senior journalist in the newsroom. You get to cover all the big things, the fun things. You get to go overseas with the mayor twice. So since January last year, I've been juggling that, being a mum of a 2-year-old, and my external commitments as well with young professionals. But it's been fun. The biggest challenge for the media industry is how you deal with change. And I was just talking at the table before, the traditional means of people gathering news or collecting news are changing. I don't know how many of you actually bought the paper this morning or yesterday or over the weekend for that matter. People are getting their news online, they're getting it through Twitter, they're getting it through social media, they're getting it through other different forms. And that's one thing as journalists that we're having to learn to deal with now, as to how do we adapt to that change. And I think we had one of our Queensland boss come down to the coast a couple of weeks ago, and he basically said change is the new norm in the media industry. And I suspect that that's the same in any industry at the moment. I don't think the media industry is alone in that matter. I think we're seeing at the moment, talking about 1,200 people losing their jobs down in Victoria, the car industry. It's all a matter of being able to reskill and adapt. So if I could offer some advice, I guess, from a career perspective, is dream big, aim high, and don't think it can't be done from the Gold Coast. Anything can be done from the Gold Coast with technology. But you've also got to be prepared for change and be prepared to adapt. When I started as a journalist, it was writing 3 stories a day for a print edition, and the deadline was 11 o'clock at night. Now it's tweeting every other minute, thinking about how I can get the message out there on social media, through Facebook, through Twitter, through Instagram. We take photos on our iPhone now, we take videos on our iPhone, we stream them to the web, I now upload stories, I even do the odd TV spot. It's a changing world, and that's one thing that we didn't get taught when I was at university, because the internet wasn't really, while it was there, it wasn't as prevalent as it is now. There are some exciting opportunities on the Gold Coast ahead, and you girls will really see the benefits of those in years to come. We've got obviously the arrival of the light rail, which is very close to home for you girls here. The Commonwealth Games coming up in 2018 will provide some excellent opportunities for everyone in this room, whether it be from volunteering to even getting involved in more sports or attending the games, for that matter. We've got a new cultural precinct hopefully on the horizon, and some other stuff happening out in the Broadwater. Southport in particular has got some exciting things happening, as I'm sure Hans Torv would gladly tell you. The most exciting thing I think about the coast right now is the fact that you don't have to leave the coast anymore to look for opportunities, hopefully one. I think technology is becoming such an important part of how we run business these days, that it doesn't matter whether you're sitting in an office in Southport or in a boardroom in the middle of Sydney. Everything can be done in the same way. And it's important that, I guess, for years the city's been sort of, people would go to uni, graduate from high school, go to uni and look for a job elsewhere. But with all these exciting opportunities coming up, it's important that we start believing in the city. And I guess that's where I come, that's my role as President of Young Professionals Gold Coast, is how do we stop the brain drain and keep people like you staying, working, playing and building careers on the Gold Coast. And if I could ask just one thing, when you do graduate, when you do think about what you want to do with your careers, when you think about what universities you want to go to, when you think about where you want to live, don't write off this city, because I think you'll find that it's going to be the most exciting city to be in over the next 5 years and beyond, with all those opportunities ahead. You are the next generation of young, inspiring Gold Coasters, female Gold Coasters, and we need to keep you here. So I hope you feel some inspiration that exciting things, big careers can happen from this city. So thank you.
And what I would like my dad to know is that I'm extremely grateful for everything he has ever done for me. A little background, my dad is a pilot for Cathay Pacific, and was based out of Hong Kong for 20 odd years. He was away for a lot of birthdays, Christmases, Easters, you name it. Dad was there 20% of the time. But somehow he was still able to make his whole family happy. He was able to look after us, and everything I wanted he got for his little princess. When you were at speech day, I was receiving an award, and Dad told me that that was a pivotal moment for him in his career and his family. After speech day, he decided he would stop becoming a training captain and would come home more often and be based out of Brisbane. I will never forget that decision, and I really am grateful because his support over the last few years has been invaluable. Unfortunately, my dad can't be here this morning to hear what I have to say because he's on long service leave with my mum in Alaska, so I don't know where he'll be. But I do hope one day I'll be able to show my dad just how much of a positive influence he has been on me and make him as proud to be my father as I am to be his daughter. Thank you.
I'd like my dad to know. There's so much that I want him to know. I want him to know that I love it when he's there to support me in sport and my touch games or rowing regattas, even when I pretend to my friends that I'm embarrassed. I want Dad to know that I admire him a lot for putting up with me because I know how difficult I can be. I want him to know that when he encourages me to fight for what I want and not let others push me down, it really helps me to strive towards my goal and to be the best. You always make me feel special when you're watching a game of footy, and I tried to show interest by pretending that I knew what was going on in the game and that it was Quade Cooper who scored the try. But you just smile and laugh and say something like, actually, it was Genia, but I guess it's the same thing. I think that one of the most important lessons that my dad has taught me is to always have confidence in myself and to always be loyal. I have a lot to thank my dad for and a lot that I want him to know, but the most important thing that I want my dad to know is how much I love him.
Dad. You're such an important person to me, even though I don't always say it. You're the world's best dad in my eyes. I love the times when we laugh Savage Garden and sing at the top of our lungs in the car, or when we impersonate the dance moves off the judges of The Voice. We all know I'm your favourite child because I'm Daddy's little girl, the apple of your eye. Although you annoy me and drive me crazy at times, and although I set out to purposely annoy you sometimes, I love you to the moon and back. Even though we have our ups and downs and you refer to me as a witch with a B, I know I can always rely on you. Dad, I'm going to put it straight to you right now. I am not going to wear my principal dress to formal. That's a battle that you always will lose. I know you're going to probably hold a speech against me when we're fighting, say things like, remember that time you said I was the best dad, and I'll probably regret it. But no matter how bad times get, you'll always be the number one guy in my life, and no one could ever replace you, because to me, you're perfect. I love you.
I want you to know that you're the strongest person I know. You've gone through so much in life, and it is truly inspiring. Where you get back up from falling, I don't know how you do it. You're also the biggest gambler I know when it comes to the farms and the casinos. I love your sense of humour. Your jokes are actually funny. Some people get embarrassed by their dads, but Dad, I would honestly take you anywhere with me. I love that when I'm at home, you still tuck me in at night and say, don't let the bed bugs bite. If they do, you squish them tight and hopefully they won't bite another night. Or if they do, get a shoe and whack them till they're black and blue. I know I don't say it as often as I should, but I love you more than anything, and let's face it, you're not an ordinary dad, you're a cool dad.
This is something I want to say to you. I feel so proud and honoured that you come to all my events. You're really special to me, and I love you. And it takes anyone to be a father, but it takes someone special to be a dad.
Anyway, thank you all for coming. It's a privilege to be around a group of people like this. And we look forward to great things from all the young ladies and all the men in the room. So thank you very much and enjoy your day.